Imagine you suddenly have $2 million in cash. Sounds like you just robbed a bank. There's just one problem. You can't actually use it. You can't casually buy a house, you can't walk into a dealership and buy 10 cars, and you definitely can't walk into a bank and say, yeah, I have $2 million. Don't worry about where it came from, because the moment you try to turn a huge amount of unexplained cash into legitimate wealth, people start asking questions, and that's where one of the world's biggest underground industries comes in: money laundering. It's the process of taking money connected to crime and making it appear like it came from somewhere completely legitimate. And the crazy part? This happens on a scale so massive that estimates put the amount of money laundered globally at hundreds of billions to potentially trillions of dollars every year. So how does it actually work? Stage 1, placement. The first problem is getting the dirty money into the financial system, and this is usually where things get dangerous. Imagine someone has a massive amount of physical cash from illegal activity. That cash can't just sit in a bedroom forever, but dumping millions of dollars into a bank account at once would obviously attract attention. So criminals have historically tried to disguise where the money came from by introducing it into legitimate businesses or financial transactions. Cash-heavy businesses can be particularly attractive because they already handle large amounts of money. Think restaurants, bars, car washes, small retail businesses. The idea is simple. Mix money from illegal activity with money that actually came from the business. Now, on paper, the money can look like ordinary business revenue, but getting the money into the system is only the beginning. Because investigators can still ask one very important question: where did it actually come from? And that's where stage 2 begins: layering. The goal is to create distance between the criminal activity and the money. Instead of the money sitting in one obvious place, it can move through different transactions, companies, investments, and accounts. The more complicated the trail becomes, the harder it can be to understand what's actually happening. This is known as layering. And one tool that can be involved is something called a shell company. A shell company can be a legally registered business that has little or no genuine business activity. On paper, it can look like a normal company, but behind the scenes, investigators may find layers of ownership and financial transactions that make the real source of the money much harder to identify. And here's where things get crazy. A company can be connected to another company, which is connected to another entity, which is controlled by another entity, until investigators are essentially following a financial maze. And that's the entire point. Make the trail as complicated as possible, but eventually the money needs to come back into the real world. And that's stage 3, integration. This is the finish line. The money has entered the financial system. It's been moved around. And now, the goal is to make it appear like legitimate wealth. This is called integration. One area that has historically been associated with money laundering is real estate. A property can be purchased, held, and later sold. Now the money can appear to come from something completely ordinary, a property investment. Another area that has attracted attention is the art market. Why? Because some artworks can be worth enormous amounts of money, and the market can be difficult to value objectively. A painting isn't like a loaf of bread. There's no fixed price. One person might say it's worth $5 million. Someone else might pay $10 million. That flexibility can create opportunities for financial crime, and suddenly, money that started out connected to something illegal can appear to have come from a completely legitimate investment. That's the basic idea behind the 3 stages. The United Nations has estimated that money laundering could represent roughly 2% to 5% of global GDP. That's potentially trillions of dollars. Think about that. While most people are worrying about making an extra few $100s, there's an entire global financial system designed around hiding money that shouldn't exist in the first place. And the strangest part, the money doesn't actually disappear. It just changes its identity. Dirty money becomes business revenue. Business revenue becomes investments. Investments become assets. And eventually, the original crime can become almost impossible to see. That's why money laundering is so difficult to fight, because investigators aren't always looking for stolen money anymore. They're looking for the story that the money is pretending to tell, and sometimes that story is worth billions.